Greene Street Joinery and the American Craftsman podcast are proud to partner with Montana Brand Tools. Montana Brand Tools are manufactured by Rocky Mountain Twist in Montana, USA. With numerous patents dating back to the invention of the hex shank system by our founders, we strive to produce accessories that add precision, flexibility, and efficiency to your toolkit. In addition to woodworking tools, we produce many high-quality cutting tools that are used by the aerospace, medical, automotive, and industrial markets. Our end product has a fit and finish that is beyond comparison. Montana Brand Tools are guaranteed for life to be free of defects in material and workmanship because we build these tools with pride and determination. For 10% off your order, visit montanabrandtools.com and use the coupon code American Craftsman. All right, people, welcome to the American Craftsman podcast.
Yeah.
Episode 17.
17 of the new year already.
Yeah.
What is this?
This is what, the third episode of the new year?
Yeah, I should say a new season.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really start on the 1st of January.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think August was the beginning.
Wow, all the way back in then.
Yeah. Yeah, this is our first week. We're going no more video. Just become too much of a problem.
We decided we have faces for radio.
Yeah. Just, software problems, and frankly, a lot of you guys, the vast majority of people just listen, so.
Yeah.
We got some new microphones. I think it sounds a little bit different. You just heard what was recorded.
Yeah.
It definitely sounds a little bit different than, I wouldn't say it's any better or worse, but definitely just a little bit different.
What are we using now? We got some Shures.
These are, Shure MV7s, which is like a kind of like a cheaper, dumbed-down version of the SM7B.
Yeah, which is sort of like the mic for this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we're still figuring some stuff out with that. And, well, we won't bore you with any of this microphone talk anymore, but...
That's exciting stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. We're getting back into the federal period. Well, you guys, it's no different for you. We've been away from the podcast for 3 or 4 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
We recorded the last batch about a month ago. So we're revisiting this last episode. We didn't get time to fit it in last time because we ran into those issues with the filming.
Right.
So we had to cut that day short. So we're gonna get this one done today, and then we'll be moving on to what's the next?
I think
period?
Empire.
Empire.
Yeah. So we're going to sort of, I think what we're going to be doing is a little bit of a wrap-up, sort of summarizing the federal period. And we're going to talk about how it's relevant today,
Yep.
its impact. All this stuff is sort of, by the time you get to where we are as craftsmen, as a society and everything's all just muddled together nowadays. It's interesting to even think about how there were these distinct periods of style, because I can't really even think of the last time we had anything like that.
Yeah, something that's like very clear cut
and new.
Right, and you see these styles are encompassing decades upon decades. So maybe we're in the middle of one now. We just don't know it.
It could be. Yeah. We're in the middle of a lot of stuff we don't know.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
The other thing that's interesting, and it's going to be true when we get into Empire as well, is that it's weird to think about how these larger social issues have influenced the style of the day. Like, this is called federal because it's named after, the United States becoming the United States.
Right.
No longer a colonial entity of Britain. So, as I said, federal references this period after the Revolutionary War. It's not necessarily one super specific style of furniture, although there are definite, what would you call them, characteristics of federal furniture that, we can all kind of recognize. Those straight lines, definitely a move away from the florid sort of carvings, and
Yeah.
if we can reach back in our memory, thinking about Chippendale and when all those things, those curved legs, the cabriole, and all that came into be.
But definitely still pretty ornate.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there definitely is still a lot of turned legs and intricate veneer work, stuff like that.
Yeah, I have a couple of links. We'll talk about it because nobody saw them anyway.
Yeah, well, here's the thing now. If you want to see the pictures, you got to join the Patreon because that's the only way you're going to get these links.
Yeah.
And that's not we're not extorting you. It's just the reality of it now since there's no video. If you want to see the pictures, the links will be in the outline that the patrons get over on Patreon.
Right. You can get the whole. It's almost like a study guide, actually.
Yeah,
The way
and there's
all...
more information in this than we even cover, really.
Yeah,
because we end up, skipping over parts,
glossing over some things. So let me backtrack a little bit. Federal period, named after the time after the Revolutionary War, and the styles even varied from town to town.
Mm-hmm.
That's how not pinned down it was.
Yeah.
Oh, I should say that it wasn't called the Federal period in Europe.
It was just called furniture.
No, they called it neoclassicism.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of this stuff is people looking backwards. The classics, the
yeah, I mean, we talked about it maybe in the first episode, the unearthing of Pompeii, and all they found all these things that were sort of frozen in time, and they're like, holy crap, this is cool. Let's start,
exactly
mimicking what they were doing in Italy back, whatever, 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So, if you've ever seen Antiques Roadshow, like there's the Kino brothers and stuff like that, guys like that, they can, because all this stuff wasn't signed, they could identify what area, what town or city sometimes these pieces were made and sometimes by whom. And, they all have similarities, but each craftsman kind of had, and each town had their own thing. So it was sort of like, if we were working back then, we'd be working in a specific style, and people would, say, "Oh, that's a New Jersey. That could be Greene Street," because they were working out of Port Monmouth, New Jersey.
And they're like, "Oh, look, it's like a 1/8-inch chamfer. That's something that they did a lot."
Yes, there's the Luigi. So Federal period furniture still available today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you type in Federal period furniture just in a Google search, you'll see shops that dedicate themselves to it. But mostly it's like you type in Federal period furniture and you get like Wayfair, Raymore and Flanagan.
Bad copies.
But they're still sort of copying the general look of the furniture. And it's popular. It's somewhat timeless if you're into that style of furniture. You know, that kind of, it's for today's look. It's very formal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I got here the publication of Hepplewhite's The Cabinet Maker and Upholsterer's Guide, published. Oh, it's going to be one of those days.
Published posthumously.
Published posthumously by his wife Alice in 1788, and Thomas Sheridan's 4 volumes of The Cabinet Maker's and Upholsterer's Drawing Book had a huge impact on the spread and dissemination of the Federal style. With Hepplewhite having over 600 subscribers himself, it's safe to say the plans and ideas from those books were used by thousands of cabinet makers, including other well-known builders like Duncan Fife and the Seymours. This is jogging my memory that those guys were big in this period.
Yeah.
It's funny to think that, there weren't the Raymore and Flanagans and Wayfarers of the day. So if you wanted a piece of furniture, you had to go to a shop, basically. And whatever was popular, that was what people wanted. They'd come to you and say, build us a dresser, and it's got to be in the style of the day.
Yeah, because that's what everybody's making. There's
Right.
no...
So we would bust open the book, and we'd say, which one do you want?
Pop open SketchUp.
It's so foreign to us because we kind of go from our gut, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're trying to, of course, we draw on our own influences, but we're trying to challenge ourselves and things like that without being too avant-garde about it. So note, American neoclassicism, federal style, and the Founding Fathers. If anybody's a history nerd like me, you'll know that Thomas Jefferson spent a bunch of time in Paris.
Did he?
Yeah. You know Jefferson. Wasn't there a movie, Jefferson in Paris, something like that? Anyway, he was sort of like we'll call him the American apostle of classicism. And he came to Philly. He came back to Philly in 1790, and he brought with him 86 cases of neoclassical furnishings straight from Paris.
Wow.
So, although this is called the Federal period, and America thought, we were forging our own identity, we're still heavily influenced by the styles driven by European designers and makers. James Madison, another of our founding fathers, he ordered French furnishings. Monroe, these are all, signers of the Declaration of Independence.
Right.
Even Washington himself, he had acquired a lot of furniture from Paris.
They should have been buying local. I'm just saying.
Shop local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like politicians haven't changed much.
No. If you check out these links, the pier table,
Wow.
it's pretty ornate, as you were saying.
Hey, what the hell's going on here?
You could see like the animal feet, the carvings, and this is not necessarily what you'd think straight Federal period, but this definitely fits into that category.
Yeah.
You could see in the back almost, it's that tapered column.
Oh, this is a mirror right here.
Yeah.
I'm like looking at this leg. I'm like, what's up with this leg?
Yeah, a pier table was sort of set against the wall.
Yeah, like I could see it like in the foyer,
And a lot of times they'd have like draperies and stuff like that. Or it'd be like in between windows and things like that. You know how they had those huge windows? Yeah. And a lot of times they'd put a big mirror mounted over the top of it too.
Seeing a lot of stone tops in the Federal period.
Yeah. But look at all that inlay.
Yeah.
And probably a lot of that's, gold leafing and stuff like that. I don't know. Look at all that hand
carving. We were just talking about how there was less carving. I mean, this is heavily carved.
Yeah.
Look at this claw foot.
Yep.
It's like, a more photorealistic kind of claw foot.
And,
the Cantha sleeves.
What we've learned through doing these podcasts is that it wasn't like one guy built this piece of furniture. This would come out of a shop that had a guy who specialized in carving, and he'd do all the carving work. One guy might specialize in the inlay.
Yep.
And that sort of thing. We're sort of do-it-all guys nowadays.
Yeah.
The custom cabinet shop. Let's see the other one. This is typically rectangular. It's a little bit more,
Very Eastern looking.
yeah, shape-wise, what we think of as federal. But those inlays and that center panel,
Yeah.
that's really unusual.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. Well, you could see there's, influence from the wider world there.
Mm-hmm.
But even the door or whatever I think that's a drop-down leaf. That's a secretaire.
Oh, yeah, it looks like it.
So that probably drops down.
Uh-huh.
It looks like those are all veneers.
Yeah. Good the sapwood here.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of veneer work. As we've been saying.
Wow.
It's pretty impressive. It's a shame, most people are listening, but I don't know if people even have the time in their busy schedules.
Mm-hmm.
But these pieces of furniture are really worth seeing. I mean, it's been eye-opening for us to just take a look at the level of craftsmanship.
Right.
That these are not necessarily all like famous pieces because of who made them. They're just surviving pieces.
Right, yeah, there's only so many examples of genuine.
So it's like there were so many skilled craftsmen. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas nowadays, they're few and far between.
This almost looks like liturgical.
Mm-hmm.
Like a tabernacle or something.
Yeah, I could see that.
Talk about rectilinear.
Right. So that's a good segue into talking about veneer and inlay,
Mm-hmm.
which it's one of the defining features of the federal era. And although they had done it before, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but this becomes like a really prominent feature during this period of furniture. And for us nowadays, veneer has kind of taken on almost a lesser than kind of meaning.
Right. Now it's like a cheap way out versus, and that we're generalizing, obviously.
Yes.
Versus like something to be done to elevate the craft. It's something to be done to save money, basically.
Right. I mean, because it's even like a part of speech, like to say it's like, a thin veneer,
Mm-hmm.
or to veneer over something. It kind of means, to gloss over it,
Yeah.
or cover up something. But here we got, I noted 4 good reasons for employing veneer. 1, a more balanced construction can be achieved, free from the inevitable splitting, checking, warping, and distortion of solid timber.
Yeah, we know about that.
Yes. 2, or B, the availability of rare and highly decorative timbers is vastly extended by using them in sheet form. So it's economical. It's
Yeah,
ecologically.
You could stretch out that tree.
Mm-hmm. Next, for decorative effect, duplication of identical grain configurations. You can make match panels in all sorts of patterns. And that's really hard to do with, or in a sense, impossible to do with solid wood, unless you got a flitch.
Yeah.
And then even then, by the time you got to the 3rd or 4th board,
You start to lose the grain.
it's not going to look the same. And last, certain rare and costly burrs, curls, abnormal grain effects have very little structural strength.
Yeah.
So you can use like a burl, and we don't have to worry about whether it's going to be strong enough to be in a door or something like that.
Yeah. You could use limb wood, probably.
Mm-hmm.
You can't use that in furniture.
No.
It'll move like crazy. I think that's something that a lot of people don't know is that all the wood that that you would like buy. Like all the wood we get, that's all from the trunk.
Yes.
It's never from a limb.
Yeah.
Because the limb is way more prone to movement, and they're just not structurally sound. I'm getting emails. I'm getting low ball offers on our old microphones.
We don't take kindly to that.
No.
Yeah, if anybody out there listening, is looking for a couple of good mics.
Audio-Technica AT2020 XLR with accessories.
Yeah. And there are disadvantages to using veneers. The ones that we could commonly think of, like the chipping, the fragility of the edges, and even on a top surface. Back in the day, you could the glues would sort of seep through, and you wouldn't be able to get that same kind of sheen that they really liked back then. But it's not so much of a problem today. And if anybody's interested, I pulled some of this information from the Encyclopedia of Furniture Making by Ernest Joyce, to quote my reference.
Is that a movie, Ernest Does Furniture Making?
Yeah, but it doesn't come out that well.
We watched Ernest Saves Christmas.
Oh, did you?
With Hunter.
Yeah, how do you like it?
Yeah, he's only three and a half, so he loses interest pretty quick, no matter what it is. But that was funny. I hadn't seen it in a long time.
I think Ernest came out. I was probably still in school. I might have been in college. Yeah, when and if I'm correct in this, now I went to Arizona State University in 1981, 82. And I think the guy who plays Ernest, I think he was in a local commercial.
Oh my God!
In Phoenix, like whatever their Channel 5 is, and that's how he got his start. Like he was this goofy guy and either a used car place or something like that, and he parlayed it into this goofy character in the movies.
Trying to see if I can find a 1984 KPHO Ernest.
KPHO, there you go, Phoenix.
Christmas sports promotion commercial.
Happy holidays, Vern. It's just in the time of Nick. Know what I mean? Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Happy holidays, Vern.
Oh my God!
There you go. See the old memory? Every now and then it kicks in.
Oh man, that seemed like maybe it was. Oh, come on now.
Might have been after he had done one.
Yeah, that looks like maybe he was already kind of known at that point. But
right.
Anybody use YouTube on their phone and you put it in full screen and then it gets like locked sideways? It's super annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see if we can find it. That's a little. That's something worth knowing.
We'll look for that on the Patreon. We just gotta remember
and
that.
we'll find it because everything's on the internet.
That's right.
So one thing I thought of and found interesting was, had they make veneers back in the day? And you know,
I was wondering that.
Well, everything came from the Sawyers, and originally you had two guys, one on either end of a saw, and this is unbelievable to me that the best guys could produce 2 or 3 sheets per centimeter, which is about 1/8 of an inch thick.
Wow.
Not the centimeter.
Right.
The sheets, they could create like 1/8 inch thick sheet of veneer.
Now centimeters what?
I think it's what it came out to. I had to look it up.
2.54 centimeters to the inch, no?
Well, maybe, yeah, I don't know. Maybe my math was incorrect. I put centimeter inch. How much is a centimeter to the inch? Let's see what you get.
How many centimeters in an inch? Yeah, 2.54. So that would be 1 divided by 2.54, right? 0.39.
Okay.
387.37. Yeah. Well,
That's how I came up with the 1/8 inch.
yeah, yeah.
Like 3/8 of an inch.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, minus the thickness of the blade, I guess.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Wow.
I can't.
No.
Because you're not just cutting like a little piece. You're cutting
Right.
a sheet. Well, not like a.
I mean,
4
some
by
of those
8
pieces
sheet.
are big.
Yeah. So from 1730 to 1830, roughly, veneers were the work of the sawyer. And if you were a veneer cutter, that meant you were like top dog. That was the pinnacle of being a sawyer.
Right.
And I don't know what kind of blade they were using or on what size pieces, but some of them could get 5 or 6 slices of veneer per inch.
Jeez.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, as may be supposed, when they came into the hands of the cabinet maker, they were very rough and irregular. Those are the veneer pieces we're talking about. And to get over which, the smoothing plane and toothing plane were freely and energetically used.
At the beginning of the day.
I love the way people used to write, and speak. So sometimes I'll read my notes directly. Sometimes I'll paraphrase. But it's great because, folks used to write with just a different flair.
Mm-hmm.
The smoothing plane and the toothing plane were freely and energetically used. Yeah, that was written in 1881, back when they still had a little bit of style in their writing.
The Furniture Gazette.
Yeah. By the 19th century, so we're still talking to the 1800s, special circular saws were available to cut as many as 6 sheets to the centimeter. Oh, my God.
That's crazy.
But but for the most difficult timbers. This technique is now conducted by less wasteful knife-cutting methods.
I don't even see how that's possible to get 6 out of a centimeter.
Right. I don't either.
How thin is that blade?
Exactly. And it may be less like a tooth blade and more like a knife blade, but the machines I saw that were doing I saw the knife cutting machines.
Yeah.
It was almost like a big hand plane.
Yeah, I've seen that, yeah. The rotary where the log spins and then contacts the cutter and it shears off these big sheets.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the rotary cut method, it unpeels the annual rings from the rotating log in a continuous sheet. I guess that's how they're making plywood nowadays, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it depends. Like, the plywood that we buy, when we're buying, let's say we buy AA or A1 walnut, usually it's either book matched or slip matched.
Right.
But, your pre-fin and stuff, that's all rotary cut.
Yeah. Let's check out this veneer tabletop. Yeah, that's classic Federal, isn't it?
Yeah. What do they call these tables that fold over like that?
I don't know. Is that a candle table?
I don't know.
Tea table? All I got is table.
It is a table.
Yeah, well, to describe it, I mean, you can see there's banding around. It's an oval top.
Is it?
Is it? Or is that just the angle?
I thought maybe it was just, the perspective.
That could be.
Yeah, it's got like a, what would you call this? Like, the words are escaping me. It's
like
like a string, like a binding around the edge that alternates. Like it almost looks like a piece of braided rope.
Yeah, I think you were
like
onto
a
it. I
twisted
think
strand kind of deal.
I think they call that a string inlay, maybe. Check out the center.
Hey, an eagle.
Yeah, that was big during the federal period.
Yeah.
There's
bun feet on these curved legs.
Yeah. I mean, it's got some swooping curves on the legs. Simple turn center column.
Yeah.
And what would you call those that fanned out stripes? There must be a name for that.
Like a sunburst, no?
Yeah, there you go. And alternating veneers from the center.
Yeah.
Then there's that eagle, which I better look this up because there's a name for that. Potteray.
Potteray eagle?
Yeah. They're pictorial inlays known as potteray. I hope that's the way you say it. Paterae, P-A-T-E-R-A-E.
Potteray sounds good to me.
So, again, to get back to the explosion in the use of veneers, we're talking about what's going on. Wow.
Oh, there's a up close.
Yeah.
So it's like marquetry, essentially.
Yes. You can see like the burned edges.
Yep.
I don't know how they got. I guess they dyed to get the red and the blue and the white.
Kind of looks like the eagle from like Sesame Street or whatever. Or the
Oh,
Muppets.
Big Bird.
No, Muppets. The one that's got like the bald and
yeah.
like the bushy eyebrows.
Yes.
When you look at it up close. When you look at the other one,
Yeah.
it's like, wow, that's like a really, really good looking eagle.
Like zoom into his feet and everything.
Yeah.
And it's kind of clunky where
Got
he's
like
holding
a
the arrows.
A dog's foot.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's super small.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, it's like looking like a piece of driftwood over here.
That's supposed to be an olive branch.
Yeah.
In the dog's
And this
foot.
looks like a bunch of arrows, but then when you look up close, it's just like two fat arrows.
Yeah. So while we're oohing and on over some of the aspects of it, it's you could see it. The execution isn't flawless.
I've seen better pottery.
Yeah. So during this time, trade to far off lands, probably South America and the tropics and things like that. We're bringing in exotic woods, cutting them up for use in these veneers. Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Look at these little wheels.
Wow. This is another table with the top that, folds up. I guess so they could slide against the wall. These are occasional tables, I'm sure, then.
See some kind of stain here that.
Yeah. There, too.
There.
Might have happened like somebody while they were storing it or something, huh?
I wonder if they did this so that you could show off the top. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's not a bad suggestion, too.
So when you're not using it and people came in, they're like, wow, look at that freaking table.
I mean, which is a big element in
Showing
all
off.
of these furnitures.
Yeah.
Showing off. I wish that would come back into
You got to
fashion.
distract somebody from like the smelly syphilis wig you got on.
I was about to say that. I want that to come back in vogue, where people bought furniture to show off.
Yeah.
I mean, they're showing off pocketbooks and shoes and everything like that, and watches.
Yeah. Cars.
Yeah, I want to see furniture come back as a statement piece.
Now it's like, look at my, I got this $5 million house, and we bought the cabinets from Craftsman.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
I know.
And, we spent big money. We got the couch from West Elm instead of IKEA. Crate and barrel.
Yeah. No,
Instead of
restoration hardware.
Yeah, restoration hardware. Instead of being made by slave children, it was made by slave teenagers in Malaysia.
So my title for this link was called Veneer Tabletop 2.
Well, it certainly fits the description.
Again, it's sort of that, that fanned out from the center, but they're sort of book match. Are those book match pairs, or is that just the way the flitch laid out?
I think this might be the match right here.
Yeah. Like that, the really dark one looks like it might be a pair. The next one down.
Well, I think, they're book matched here and here.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So it's like a 16, or no, maybe more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So what is there, 20 pieces?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What's a 20-sided shape called?
I don't know.
A double dodecagon.
And what can we? We probably can't zoom in. I wonder what that circular band is. Oh,
It looks like walnut.
Yeah.
So there's a seam here, and there's a seam here, but then it also looks like maybe there's a seam right there.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So this is a segment right there, and then that's another one.
There's some tiny little thing in the middle.
Yeah. It's made up of a lot of pieces.
Yeah, and look at the way they did the grain on the outside band on the table. Like a completely different.
All laid out the same way, but it's all like straight grain.
Yeah.
Wow. I like this base.
Yeah. Some what are those, acanthus leaves? Big acanthus leaves on the top there.
These, yeah. Or a feather, maybe.
Yeah. Some gold and those little tiny wheels. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, don't go over a piece of dust with that.
I know.
Stop.
Well, they probably had like 3 or 4 servants wheel that thing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
It looks like it's triangular, too. This goes back this way.
Yeah. Was that a circle, a cutout or something like that
center.
there in the middle?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, again, it's worth it if you could take the time and you of course, support the podcast, get these get a look at some of these things, or just do your own research.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard to find this stuff.
Yeah, it's 2022. Do your own research.
You look up some federal period furniture, and because a lot of this stuff, the best pictures that I'm able to grab usually come from like the Met, and things like that. They have really high quality photographs that they don't block from being copied and pasted and linking to. Because some of them, they...
Oh, there's an easy way around that. You do a little screenshot.
You can see. And what do we got with that Basin stand? I did make a note for the Basin stand.
With string inlay.
Yeah, the Basin stand.
Wow.
It demonstrates the importance of string inlay. When wrapped around other inlay are used to define edging, stringing focuses your eye and influences the design.
I'd say this is a more typical...
That's a federal piece.
Looking piece.
There's some of those simple turnings.
Yeah.
Kind of on the bottom there where you might expect to see those legs go straight down even, with edges instead of being turned.
I wish I could zoom with the scroll wheel.
Yeah, you get used to doing that, don't you?
Yeah, like using Fusion.
Yeah. But as you mentioned earlier, there's that stone top
Yeah.
set in.
Zoom in here.
Oh, it's actually recessed a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I guess they put some kind of basin on there, a wash basin.
Yeah.
For washing your face or something.
Yep. There's columns in the inlay.
These stripes are a real common motif, I guess, sort of a little homage to the American flag.
I think so. Yeah, that thing's checking all the boxes for federal and neoclassicism and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton of different inlays, string inlay, regular veneering work on the drawer face.
Yep.
They play with the direction of the grain, the different wood species.
Yeah, I mean, look right here.
Oh,
in
wow.
This little, whatever you call this.
And like that curved part of the apron there.
Yeah, they have the grain goes at a 45.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that's almost like a miter, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess it's just a book match veneer, but the point they chose was at an angle.
Yeah, really, really nice detail. Now, for the most part, I'm not looking to have any of this stuff in my house, but it's really easy to admire the workmanship.
Oh yeah.
What's going on the side of that case? Is that a board? It's probably, I guess.
I'm sure it's all veneer. But
yeah.
Yeah, got the handle on the side, which is typical.
Nice stuff.
Yeah.
Now I added this link, underneath the Pottery 2.
Pottery 2?
Yeah. There's the link up there is the School of Woodwork. It's a pretty nice web page that kind of walks you through making this piece here. If anybody's interested in picking up some of those skills, I'll spell it. Well, I won't spell it. I'll just read it out. schoolofwoodwork.com / how to make a federal period fan inlay using veneers. And it's a pretty easy step by step. Shows you how to calculate all the because there's all those angles and you're fitting it into a circle,
right?
And you got
a little sand shading.
Yeah.
Well.
So if anybody's interested, it's
using a plane iron to cut them.
Mm-hmm.
This looks like something for the Working Hands podcast, Make What You Fear competition.
I definitely fear that.
Yeah. Wow.
It's cool because it demystifies it a little bit. Not that we didn't know kind of what went into it, but I didn't realize that the black was a whole separate piece.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I thought that was somehow one piece, but if you think about it, so there's a lot of work in that little thing.
I need to look up how to say this word.
Yeah, there you go. Let's see how far off we were. The internet's a beautiful thing.
Is there going to be an ad? Nope. Hey, I got no sound coming out of my...
It's there, but let's see what we got.
It's because I have it muted.
Oh.
going on here?
Paterai or eat.
What? Paterai.
Or eat. Paterai or eat.
Paterai or E.
So does she mean
Paterai or eat.
paterai or paterie?
Paterai or eat.
EmmaSaying.com. Emma, listen, do a better job. That's the worst how to say video I've ever seen. Can't you put a pause in there if that's what?
Yeah, or say paterai or paterie.
Sorry for the Men's Warehouse ad.
I mean, it was one
It's the
plural.
same person. Here we go.
Paterai.
Paterai. Why do they have to do it with a robot voice? It seems like a total cop-out.
So there you go. How to make a federal period fan paterai.
Or paterie.
Oh, man. Here's the Duncan 5 tool chest.
Yeah, it's that same tiny picture.
I know. I believe me, I tried like crazy to find a really good picture because that's it's a famous.
Yeah, you can go see it. As far as I know, I think Freddie was saying that he's seen it in person.
Yeah, I wonder how much it weighs. I think we've gone over this, but it has about 300 tools in it
Wow.
for carving, veneering, inlaying. It's got 60 planes, chisels,
60
gouges.
planes. My God.
Yeah.
How many woodpeckers?
Could you imagine the work that they would have done if they had woodpeckers?
Yeah, I mean, Duncan Fife was a slouch compared to those woodpeckers
Yeah.
users.
I add here that the Duncan 5 tool chest has inspired countless interpretations, and boy, you see if you got the transcripts, I've included a link to the Duncan 5 tool chest drawing.
Oh, yeah.
You can make your own Duncan 5 tool chest using real drawings.
Wow. Good luck.
Good luck with that venture. Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying? So what about some examples of federal period architecture and design? Check it out.
The Resolute Desk.
Yeah, the Resolute Desk was actually, after I had done this research, this was a question on Jeopardy.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
And I felt smart. So I'll tell everybody the story of the Resolute Desk. It's also known as the Hayes Desk because it was Rutherford B. Hayes was the president when this thing was gifted. So it's a partner's desk. It's been used by several presidents. It's in the Oval Office. And it was a gift from Queen Victoria to President Rutherford B. Hayes in 1880, and it was built from the oak timbers of the British Arctic exploration ship HMS Resolute. So it's called the Resolute Desk. The desk weighs, guess how much?
Well, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it right there in front of me.
Yeah.
I can't guess.
1,300 pounds.
HMS, Her Majesty's. What's
Ship?
that stand for?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm guessing ship. So the whole desk weighs 1,300 pounds, and it was created by William Evenden. And they say probably from a design by Morant, Boyd, and Blandford. What happened was the Queen ran a contest.
Huh.
Yeah. So the story of the Resolute is that it was abandoned in the Arctic waterway, and I can't say the name of this waterway.
Tarayunwak.
Yeah, probably a Native American name, it looks like.
Yeah. Well, or native arctician.
Yeah, Arctician.
don't know what you call people who live in the Arctic. Eskimos?
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, they're still native up there.
They're just not American.
No. So this polar explorer, this ship, the Resolute, was abandoned in 1854 while it was searching for another lost expedition.
Jeez.
And it was found in 1855, the next year, floating in the Davis Strait by an American whaling ship. So they bring it back. And they repair it. They, meaning the Americans, we repair it, and we return it to the United Kingdom as a gesture of goodwill.
Okay, we know we kicked your ass about 80 years ago, but here's your boat back.
Yeah, here's your boat back. Don't try not to lose your stuff in
Yeah.
our territory.
Idiot.
So what they did was they decommissioned the boat about 25 years later. So they actually used it for a little while. They broke it up and held the aforementioned competition to design and build a piece of furniture from its timbers that the Queen could give to the American president.
Wow.
It's a pretty impressive piece of furniture.
Yeah. Here's what I want to know. Why? How come only the last 5 presidents have used it?
Yeah, they don't all use it. I mean, it's available to them.
Yeah.
But they kept it in storage.
Yeah, no, that should be like, that's the desk.
I'm right.
No choice.
That's what I thought too. I mean, if you look at it, it's got the presidential or the American seal. Now there's, a well executed eagle with the olive branch and the arrows.
Yeah. Oh, see, this picture, the focus is on.
On the prez.
Yeah. This is the only thing I don't like is this little detail right here.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a shoe molding.
It looks like it was kind of added on, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder. I mean, I wonder if that was added on to raise the height of the desk,
Could be.
where that's not original.
Look at this. It looks like this is a panel. The grain carries through. This is all
I know.
relief carving.
It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you really study it, the amount of work.
This base cap has like a carved rope at the
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah, that looks like it's an added on riser.
Because the color's a little different.
It is.
It's looks darker here and lighter there, but it's the
Yeah.
other way around on this one.
Yeah.
It might just be optical illusion because it's 2 different pieces of wood.
All right. So you want to take a quick trip through the periods that we went through, get up
Yeah.
to this federal period?
Yeah, we'll give everybody a little refresher and ourselves.
Yeah, so we started off with the early American period, 1640 to 1700, roughly. It's the first period where a distinct style begins to appear within furniture pieces in the colonies that went beyond just practicality. Some finials, carvings. You're moving from just the hard Scrabble life,
Right.
to let's make something that looks nice. Native woods. Most of the stuff made in America is going to be native woods until we get to the mahogany era. Colonial, which for whatever reason I always thought was going to be the first one.
Yeah.
1700 to 1780. Heavily influenced by pieces from England during this time, including William and Mary, Queen Anne, and Chippendale, although the American versions tended to be much less ornamented, more conservative, oil varnish, paint were the typical finishes. Dovetail joinery began to make an appearance, along with mortise and tenon joinery. And mahogany starts to creep its way into the picture here, along with elm, walnut, the natives. We moved to the Pennsylvania Dutch, who they were a surprise appearance in our list of 12.
Yeah.
To be quite honest. Now, this was marked by a German influence. The Pennsylvania Dutch, as we recall, were actually Germans.
The Pennsylvania Deutsch.
There you go. Really utilitarian stuff compared to what was starting to emerge in the design world.
Yep.
A lot of painted stuff, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And painted like scenes, not just
like they had the birds and the tulips and
unicorns and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah. And the other thing I remember was it didn't really as it was happening, it wasn't known as a style.
Yeah, it was in a vacuum for sure.
Yeah. This is all because it gets discovered in, if I remember, the 1920s or so, and it's kind of this, wow, this stuff is cool folk art.
Right.
Well, we could see a lot of this stuff is happening concurrently. And now we get to the federal period. 1780. It introduces a variety of ornamental styling such as fluting, inlays of contrasting woods to create shapes and designs, banding with contrasting veneers. There's a graceful elegance, even though it's called federal. There's still heavy French and English influence. A lot of brass hardware. Usually shapes found in nature, those
leaves and stuff like that.
Yeah. And Thomas Sheridan was probably the most important figure in this period because of the success of his book, I'll call it. And he was really the most widely reproduced designer of the early 1800s. He's got a whole period named after him, which is a subset of the federal period. And what else starts popping up is upholstery.
Yeah, and that kind of started with Chippendale, too.
Yeah, it's still pretty expensive until we get into the next couple of periods. And for the most part, a lot of this stuff is still for the wealthiest folks. People like you and me, we weren't partaking.
No.
If we were around, as simple farmers or workers, we didn't really have anything like this. There was one guy that I wanted to mention who was an important federal period architect, and he was Samuel Mcintyre. He designed these homes on Chestnut Street in Salem, Massachusetts. And if you think of like a federal style house, he's the dude. He's the guy that, it's like I don't know if I won't say he invented. He's the guy that perfected this style to the point where we recognize it as something like even the lay person can say, "Oh, that's a federal style house."
Right.
I'm surprised I don't have a link here. Oh, I have a Mcintyre side chair. Oh, I know why I brought up Mcintyre as well. So I brought up Mcintyre because, and I even wrote this in italics so that I would be able to make that segue. See where I said why I mentioned Samuel Mcintyre?
You just didn't get far enough into your notes. You had to put it earlier.
All right. So why did I bring up Samuel Mcintyre?
And look, you spelled it different too.
I know. You can,
That's a
you
different
can
guy.
See, you can see I spell it. I spell him different every time. In 2011, a mahogany side chair with carving attributed to Samuel Mcintyre sold at auction for $662,500.
Wow.
Setting a world record for federal furniture. The handmade and hand-carved chair, made in the late 1790s, was one of a set of 8. Oh, man, I would have liked to have had the other 7. Originally purchased by Elizabeth Crownshield and Elias Haskett Derby. Let's take a look at that side chair and see why it's worth $600. Oh, God.
It's just a shield back.
Yep, there's the shield back. That's a Chippendale, isn't it? Or is it a Sheridan? I can't remember who did the shield back.
I thought it was Hepplewhite.
Was it Hepplewhite? There you go. But, man,
This is looking a little Jacobian.
Yeah. That's really an understated design.
Yeah, I mean, we can't. I mean, there's definitely some carvings and stuff that we can't see that well, but.
Well, it goes to show you what an important figure Mcintyre was, because it's not really based on the design of that chair, but I did have a couple links to the. There you go. There's some of Mcintyre's work.
Look at those chimneys; those are great.
Yeah. There you go. It's like when you think of Boston, Faneuil Hall and all that stuff. Yeah, right. It looked like the Foursquare with the chimney in each corner of the house, kind of thing. Yeah, very cool. The shutters on the windows. One's got
these big entablatures over the windows.
Yeah, the front, they have the columns.
This big pediment.
See, if that house was in Staten Island, the columns would go all the way up to the 3rd floor.
It'd be about 6 times the diameter too.
Yeah.
And the house would be stucco.
And there'd be lions out front.
Oh, God. Statue of David.
Yeah, that's some classic federal architecture.
Yeah, I like this house.
Yeah, I like the gray. I love that. What do you call those intertwined blocks at the corners?
I was trying to think of that. I don't know.
The way they tooth in the blocks almost looks like a zipper at the corner.
Yeah, they're like railroaded, I guess. But it's a clapboard house.
Yes. Obviously they pick out a couple of really nice examples to take pictures of, but
There's something very regal about these big, tall chimneys.
Yeah.
I mean, the chimneys extend 15 more. I mean, if this is a floor,
right,
they're 20 feet out of the roof.
They are. Yeah, it's a really fine looking home.
I mean, this is a honking chimney right here.
Yeah.
That's like 8 by 8.
That's probably the kitchen back there.
Yeah.
Look at all the windows. How many windows does that gray building have across the front of it? Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15, 14.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. Not like today's homes where like the side of the house will have no windows on it.
Just one in the bathroom.
Yeah.
This double bay window.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. You could see like reading a book or something in there. A nice sunny day.
Powder in your wig. There's like a little roof here with a side door.
Yeah. I lived in a house like that had one of those porticos on the side. That was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
I like that. You drive in and it's...
Chauffeur drops you off.
Yeah. Wasn't quite that nice, but... Yeah, in Texas, I lived in a place like that. Nice stuff.
Yeah.
So that wraps up our...
That's the federal period, folks.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, getting into some cool stuff, some more inspirational stuff, I'd say.
Yeah, through a couple of these, you find it, well, you run out of maybe some things to say and talk about and discuss. I tell you, as I started getting into the arts and crafts and they're like 20 something pages, and I had to like cut things out. There's too much because also it's more recent, so there's more stuff available to see. Some of this you had to do some deep diving on.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty cool. I've learned a ton going through all these periods of furniture so far, and I hope everybody else has as well, and maybe inspired them to do some research on their own.
Yeah, do your own research.
Because we all sort of tend to fall back to whatever it is convenient,
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't really see us doing anything straight federal, but, there are definitely cues that we could pick up from that period.
Yeah, and, stuff that we do prefer was inspired by everything that came before, so you're always going to...
It's kind of like rock and roll,
Yeah.
It all goes back to Chuck Berry somehow. And then Jimi Hendrix and all this. It's all built on the shoulders of these folks. So will we bid adieu?
Yeah, well, that's what we got for you this week, folks. So next week we start what? The
Empire, I believe.
Empire, yep.
Yeah, there's gonna be a good history lesson at the top of that one.
Yeah.
My wife, it's funny. I'm having breakfast this morning. My wife says, "Empire, what's that about?" I'm like, I'm gonna. I need my notes.
Don't want to get into this. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, take care.